Hi everyone, Joshua Kirk here with you once again. Now it's time for episode, this is episode 125 of Album of the Day. And, in which today I'm going to be, reviewing the latest album from, a singer-songwriter, who, who is sort of like, indie rock, her music kind of mixes together elements of, indie rock and, some garage rock and, stuff like that, definitely kind of, and definitely a little twangy as well, I'm talking about, the singer-songwriter known as Angel Olsen. The reason I didn't give you a too detailed description of who she is and stuff like that is because don't really know a whole lot about her, about where she's from or how she sort of got this following. Although I know she released her first album. I think it was self-released, but then she eventually gained a little more exposure in 2014 when signing with the Jaguar label, and of course, releasing Burn Your Fire for No Witness. Here I'm here to review her third studio album, her second on Jaguar, which was just released on September 2nd, and it's called My Woman. As you can see, I have the vinyl copy of this record, and my vinyl copy of this is actually pretty cool. I'll show you why in a little bit. But I bought this at Soundgarden, actually the same day I bought the new OC's album, Weird Exits, which you may remember I reviewed a couple episodes ago, which it was like a special treat for me because I don't usually get two vinyls in one day because of how expensive they are, but I had enough money to do so I figured why not. Anyway, there's the album cover there. Basically features Angel. Basically is a photo of Angel Olsen on there. So it's not necessarily a very, so it isn't necessarily an amazing cover art or anything like that. Since it's just a picture of the artist. But this painting on the back cover, as you can see, is really gorgeous. And anyway, here's the inside. Love these gatefolds. There's the lyrics and photos from the studio and stuff like that, and of course the liner notes there. Produced by Justin Brazen and Angel Olsen herself. It was mixed by Colin Dupuis. And of course, and of course, you know the drill. I'll show you what's so special about my vinyl copy. This is actually on limited edition purple vinyl, as you can see. So I was pretty lucky to get a new release, on limited edition, colored vinyl, because, I'm not one of those people who, has to have colored vinyl, but, I did think it would be pretty cool to get this, since I was pretty lucky. So, anyway, there's side A, and then there's side B. So anyway, that's my vinyl copy of the new Angel Olsen album, My Woman. So yeah, I would say with this record, Angel Olsen has certainly come out with one of the most powerful and one of the most emotionally potent, and one of the most passionate records, like indie rock records of 2016. And there's been a good number of really solid indie albums this year. Like the Car Seat Headrest album, which I did do a review of that. Definitely check out that record. Or probably, the indie rock album of the year for me, probably this one. But this one, it's certainly, while they are both different releases, I do tend to, think of them as while they are both different releases, I would say they definitely have similar kind of, you know, uh, sort of, passion and, and balance of production. Like, this is the perfect balance between, like, lo-fi and well produced. I mean, it's kind of rough, but still at the same time, the instrumentals are coming through very crisp and loud and clear in the mix. It's kind of straight. It may seem like some conventional indie rock instrumentation, guitars, bass, drums, piano, keyboards, but they definitely are very well produced and played very, you know, uh, played, very nicely enough to still keep the instrumentals being very lavish and, dense, even though you won't hear like a splash of dulcimer or something like that getting thrown into the mix at all on here. Um, and also probably my favorite part of this record is easily Angel Olsen's lyrics and her vocal presence. Her lyrics on here are very introspective. They do deal with relationships a little bit, but in a way that's still very poignant and definitely still has a lot of passion to it. It's not necessarily like a very somber record. So yeah, I would say it's definitely like a good like singer-songwriter album, I must say. Alongside a few other singer-songwriter albums that I really liked this year, the self-titled Case Lang Vairs album, as well as the new Marissa Nadler album. I have heard that. That is another great singer-songwriter album. Um, um, and so yeah, I'll read some of the lyrics a little bit here. The opening track on this album, Intern, has is a pretty stripped down opener for the record. It's basically just like a vocal and some keyboards and some like really beautiful kind of watery ethereal keyboards on this track too. And the lyrics, but she definitely still brings so much passion to it with her vocal and some of the lines on here, like I don't care what the papers say. I'm just another intern with a resume. I'm gonna fall in love with you someday. I'm gonna fall in love and run away. No way. Definitely. Definitely a great way to open the album because it right away pretty much shows how she definitely puts a lot of passion even into the most simply arranged tunes here. So that was one of the teaser tracks for the album. Like, I actually didn't hear any of the teaser tracks before listening to the album, but I would say they definitely do work maybe a little better in the context of the album than they maybe would do just as a standalone single. Like, Intern, it definitely seems to make more sense in an album context a little bit. The other single from the album is the song Shut Up Kiss Me, which is a slightly more upbeat track. The other single from the album, Shut Up Kiss Me, is definitely a more kind of upbeat track, I must say. It's definitely easily the catchiest song on the whole album. I mean, I love the refrain on this song. Shut up, kiss me, hold me tight. But and also the lyrics. It also is kind of a song about how where the protagonist of the song seems to try to prove to her significant other that I ain't hanging up this time. I ain't giving up tonight. Yeah, and it's sort of a song that sort of sort of define sort of the conflict in this relationship here, like, mentioning, like, at your worst, I still believe it's worth the fight, and but then also saying things like, this heart still beats for you. Why can't you see? Like, she's like, like just how expressive those lyrics are just, pretty fantastic. I mean, I wouldn't say it's Shakespearean, and, the lyrics aren't really going so far off into absurdity that it's, like, hard to decipher, but, it doesn't need to be, because, even at her most basic, I still think she can definitely put a lot of emotional investment behind it, with her vocals and whatnot. Not another track. Now, as for some of the deep cuts on this album that I really love, I love the song "Never Be Mine." It's definitely kind of an old school tin song. It actually kind of sounds like something from the 50s a little bit. And there's even a little bit of an alt country flavor going on here with songs like this. As I said, it kind of reminds me of the 50s with its kind of scrawling guitar, with its kind of dirty, scrawling riff, as well as the glistening 12-string acoustic guitars that are laced in there that, just, complement the song, I think, really nicely. And also, it's, definitely, and also, again, it's another song that, definitely has, I mean, right from the first line, coming from an endless place, heaven hits me when I see your face. I go blind every time. Hate to have watch you go. Like, some of the lines on here instantly pretty much become pretty memorable, and just, this is just a painfully honest record, I would say. It's I like how this record is just so painfully honest. I would say painfully honest in a good way. I don't mean painfully honest in a bad because, which I think is good. I mean, good. I mean, in a time when indie rock, doesn't really have, I mean, in a time where, a lot of indie rock out there just seems to, be really kind of soft and, soft and kind of like, hugs and stuff like that. It is really refreshing to hear something that's definitely a little more visceral in terms of, and having some real, kind of, legitimate emotion to it. Another song in here that I really like is the song Heart-Shaped Face. This song is another one that has maybe a little alt-country flair, that has, as it has a lovely, kind of jagged baritone riff going on in the background. And this song is just incredibly moving, from Angel Olsen's vocals at the end. From Angel Olsen's vocal performance on the track, as well as, kind of, the lyrics that kind of wonder, well, was it me you were thinking of all the time when you thought of me? Or was it your mother? Was it your shelter? Or was it another with a heart-shaped face? I mean, that's poeticism right there. I even love some of the extended songs on the record. There are 2 songs on the back half of the album that are a little deeper into the record, that are over 8 minutes long, but still justify the lengths, as lyrically and vocally and musically they manage to still keep you engaged, and they don't just feel like them just trying to, outstretch a really lackluster piece of music into like an 8-minute epic. We have the song "Sister," which of course has some great lyrics on it. Lyrics on there. It's sort of, on the song, Angel seems to be like, he's sort of, crying out to, like, say, like, I want to know you. I want to show you. I want to be there. I want to see how, when he's trying to, piece this sort of crumbling relationship together. I wonder why the song is called Sister. I wonder if she's maybe talking about, some, problems with like someone in her family or maybe someone in her life, for something like that. But still, it's just, extremely beautiful, and her vocals on this track are just incredible. I mean, like, I love that part in the middle where she does the kind of dramatic vocals with some reverb on there, and it, just sounds so downright, and it is kind of way in the background, but it just sounds so, just so damn effective. Along with, that amazing guitar, there's a pretty awesome, like, guitar solo at the end, which isn't surprising. I mean, the guitar riffs, there's lots of great riffs on this album. I mean, the solo at the end of Shut Up Kiss Me is just so infectious. And this one here on Sister is definitely, really beautiful, and it somewhat kind of reminds me of one of the amazing solos at the end of a track off of Car Seat Headrest's new album. Like this song, in terms of the solo at the end, kind of somewhat reminds me of the song Drunk Drivers / Killer Whales off of Teens of Denial a little bit. And the other extended cut on the album is the song Woman, which is one of the sleepier songs on the record, quieter song on here. It's like a little more like kind of psychedelic with its, very colorful wall of scents. As well as this song has, in my opinion, one of the best, in my opinion, the best bass line on the entire record. That's for sure. Very melodic, and it pairs really well with the, with the watery keyboards on the track. And also, like, it's another track that, again, definitely, seems to deal with kind of, this problem in her life, but also, it's definitely still very kind of optimistic, too. Like, I can still breathe for you, open up and scream for you, tell me what I wouldn't do. Tell me that love isn't true. I dare you understand what makes me a woman. Like, he's, the way, and she's, just kind of, bursting with emotion once she gets to that line, and I just, love just how introspective the song is, as well as the fact that it has a great riff towards the end, and some really nice, piano, and some really nice piano at the end, too. So it definitely is another track that definitely justifies its 8-minute runtime, although it's slightly more quiet than Sister is. And the closer on this album, Pops, is, I'm not surprised that this song closes the album, since Intern was the opening track for the record, because, Intern was pretty stripped down with just some vocals and keyboards. This time we're getting the vocal and a piano, which the piano on this track is kind of raw, because it's like kind of out of tune a little bit, to give it kind of this sort of, dark, dramatic tone, I guess. And this is a perfect way to close the record, because it certainly feels like the end of, like, the story here, while Intern kind of feels like the beginning of the story here. So it's definitely sort of a, I wouldn't say it's I'm not sure if she intended it to be a concept album, but it does sort of feel a little bit like that. Or it does feel a little bit like that in terms of, like, sort of, the themes of, like, kind of, because of all the different, like, themes going on with the lyrics here on this album. And also, like, I do really like the, and I do think that her vocals definitely do, sort of, And and I do like her vocals still sound kind of pretty dramatic and emotionally potent, even if they do, even if even if they do sound kind of distorted with the kind of lo-fi and kind of grainy sound quality of the vocals. I like how she still manages to bring a lot of emotion there, even if it's the most lo-fi sounding vocal on the whole album. And I do like some of the and I do like the lyrics on this album too. I wouldn't say they're the best lyrics of the album, but you could still that there's a lot of emotional investment there. Like, this is one song in the album that I didn't like it that much the first few times I heard it, but the last few listens I've given on this record, for whatever reason, the song has been growing on me to the point where, as of right now, I actually do really like that song, and I think it closes out the album definitely, in a pretty powerful way, so it's definitely a pretty good finish to the record. Still, there are some moments on here that I think pale in comparison. I would say Angel's vocals, throughout this record, there aren't very many performances on here that I think, that I have really problems with. I would, probably the least impressive vocal on this whole album was the kind of endearing and kind of hushed vocals on Those Were the Days. But even that vocal performance is great, even though that isn't necessarily my favorite song on the record, although I do like the kind of ethereal guitar riffs that have a good amount of reverb on it. Then there's the song "Give It Up," which is a good song as well, but definitely it kind of ends abruptly, leaving it kind of half finished a little bit. It seemed like it would have been much improved if maybe it were longer, or if there were maybe a little more lyrics in there too. But then the moment on here that, the closest that the album comes through to being kind of, probably the one track on here that I do think kind of fell through the cracks a little bit was the song "Not Gonna Kill You," which on this song I do feel Angel kind of, what seemed kind of seems a little too eager to try to make something powerful, try to make something epic, it just kind of, seemed a little, she definitely did kind of go a little overboard on the track, although I thought the lyrics on the track were pretty decent. I just thought, her attempt at trying to make something sound dramatic on here just kind of, felt a little kind of, just kind of seemed to kind of, sort of lose its flavor a little bit the more that it kind of rises up a little bit. But still, other than that, I think this is a great album. I mean, if you're looking for an album that's definitely so focused on, lyrics, and is just definitely very honest, and also definitely has a lot of passion and some great performances, and catchy hooks as well, I think you're going to like this record. I mean, it's in some ways the same kind of expressive, honest attitude to the lyrics that I got on records like Tame Impala's Currents from last year. So yeah, I'm going to go with a strong 8 out of 10 for this new Angel Olsen record, My Woman. And by the way, it sounds pretty good on vinyl. Sounds really good on vinyl, by the way. Definitely glad I bought this. So yeah, that's about going to wrap it up for my review of the new Angel Olsen album, My Woman. And I'll see you for episode 126.